No one tells you what to expect after you've done all of the right things. Your resume's solid, you've put quality applications in, but then you hear nothing. You're not imagining it. This happens to almost everyone I work with, and it's where most people start spiraling. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the part of job hunting that no one prepares you for and how to actually get through it. Because if you don't handle this phase right, it doesn't matter how good your experience is, you'll burn out before the right role ever sees your name. We'll talk mindset shifts, small but powerful strategy tweaks, and how to stay steady when everything feels stalled. So instead of second guessing yourself, you'll stay focused, protect your energy, and give yourself a real shot at landing the right role. So let's talk about the part of the job search that no one really prepares us for. You've done the work, you have put together a solid resume, you've applied for a bunch of roles, maybe you've even interviewed, but nothing is moving. You might be thinking, I've applied for so many roles at this point, why is nothing happening? But that's the messy middle, and it's completely normal. But this is also where a lot of good people start telling themselves the wrong story. The silence can start to feel really personal, and we start wondering whether we're part of the problem, or if maybe we're being overlooked because of something that we can't fix, or worse still, that maybe we were never that qualified to begin with. But that's rarely the truth. This phase is filled with uncertainty, and uncertainty always invites unhelpful stories. The longer you sit in the unknown, the louder your inner critic can get. So I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, what have I been believing about myself lately? Because the story you're telling yourself in this phase, that internal narrative, that's what's going to shape how you show up next. And if that story sounds like, maybe I'm not cut out for this, or everyone else is landing jobs but me, it's worth challenging. Most of the time that stuff isn't true. It's just what exhaustion and uncertainty sounds like in your head. Here's the reframe. You don't need to fake positivity. You don't even need to pretend that this isn't hard, but you do need to talk to yourself like somebody you actually want to succeed. Try something like this. This isn't a reflection of my worth. It's just a frustrating process and I'm figuring it out. Or if what I'm doing isn't working yet, I can adjust, I'll adapt. And if you're not sure where your mindset stands right now or how it might be helping or hurting your job search, I've created a short quiz that can help. It's called the Job Search Mindset Quiz. It takes less than 10 minutes and it gives you practical, personalized advice based on exactly where you're at. You can find the link below. Getting into the right mindset isn't about feeling good all of the time. It's about having enough perspective to keep going, even when it feels slow. Once you've taken a step back and looked at the mindset piece, the next thing that you need to look at is your approach. Because if you're in the messy middle, applying, following the rules, but still getting silence, then it might not be about effort anymore. It might be about your direction. I hear this a lot. I've applied for 50 jobs, maybe I just need to try harder. That sounds logical, right? Try harder, work more, but job search isn't just about activity, it's about effectiveness. Busy isn't always productive. Sending out dozens of applications might feel like momentum, but if they are unaligned or unfocused, it's just motion, not movement. And that's where a lot of people get stuck. They're doing more of what hasn't worked, thinking it'll eventually click. But job searching isn't a straight numbers game. It's a series of small experiments. You test, you adjust, you improve. And that means slowing down long enough to ask yourself better questions. Are the roles that I'm applying for aligned with my actual skill set, or are they just a stretch that relies on luck? Is my resume focused on tangible, results-based outcomes, or am I trying to cover everything all at once? Am I relying on job boards, or am I mixing in outreach, referrals, and networking? What tracking am I doing, and how am I learning from that? Or am I just hoping that something lands? One of my clients who's mid-40s, solid leadership background, was doing what most people do. Applying online, but skipping networking, not wanting to bother anyone. And when we looked at her documents and messaging, we were able to shift how she approached the process. And once she started reaching out directly with a clearer value story, things started moving quickly. She didn't need to apply for more roles, she just needed to apply smarter. The change didn't just improve her results, it actually gave her clarity. She was no longer guessing if she was doing enough. She knew she was doing the right things and she started seeing momentum again. The messy middle isn't the time to double down on what's not working. It's the time to pause, regroup, and pivot if needed. And while we're refining your strategy, we also need to talk about something else, your energy. Because staying in the game mentally and emotionally is half the battle. A lot of people I speak to tell me that they spend all day refreshing job boards and they feel guilty when they're not doing something productive. The job search can be exhausting. You're showing up again and again, often with very little feedback or reward, and that can wear on you. So this is the moment to ask yourself, how am I looking after myself through this? Too many people treat the job search like a 24/7 hustle. No breaks, no wins, just pressure. But you can't expect yourself to show up well in interviews or write strong applications if you're completely depleted. Instead, you need to build a rhythm, not a grind. That could mean 2 hours of focused work in the morning, then shut the laptop, or short bursts during the week. The point is structure and space that's relevant for you. And let's talk about how you measure progress, because if you're only measuring success by whether or not you've landed a role, then you're going to be feeling like you're failing most of the time. That's not just discouraging, it's also misleading. Progress might look like refreshing your resume. It might look like practicing answers out loud. It might look like starting a conversation that doesn't go anywhere, because even that is practice. One of my clients was in that exact spot. LinkedIn was making her feel worse, not better. So instead of scrolling and comparing, she set up a weekly check-in with a friend who was also job hunting. Just having that shared rhythm, that small accountability touch point, helped her stay grounded and consistent throughout the whole process. And that brings me to something else. Community. This process can feel incredibly isolating, but staying connected, even in small structured ways, can help keep your perspective intact. You need to remember that you're not alone. You also have to remember that this is hard for everyone, and that can change how you start to carry the feeling. The goal isn't to stay endlessly optimistic or productive, but it is to stay well enough, long enough to keep going. You only need one yes, but to get there, you need to still have something in the tank. Heard me talk about what to do while you're stuck in the messy middle, how mindset, doing the right kind of strategy, and protecting your energy can keep you moving forward even when the silence from applications is loud. But what if you didn't have to guess whether your resume, cover letter, or follow-up emails are working, and instead had proven tools and templates that hiring managers actually read? If you're ready to stop second guessing and start showing up with confidence, the Get Hired bundle gives you exactly that. Resume and cover letter templates, email scripts, a job tracker, negotiation guides, and more. Everything I've refined over 15 years in recruiting so that you can apply with clarity, get noticed, and finally land interviews. You can check it out using the link in the description below, and I'll see you next time.